What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube and TikTok at March 4th Pod. The links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description for this episode. So that means if you made it here, then you found me somehow. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. How is everybody doing? I hope that your summer is going great. I hope that everybody is chasing down their dreams. We're a little more than halfway through the year. And I know I talk about time a lot, and it's just weird how things do seem to go faster as you get older. But 2024 has been a great year for the pod so far. I really appreciate the love and support from everybody who's checking out the show, liking and subscribing, telling a friend to tell a friend. It truly means a lot. So thank you to all of you for listening. And if this week's guest is who brought you to this show for the first time, welcome aboard that pirate ship, as I said a few minutes ago. And yeah, man, I'm doing well. Had a great visit last week going back home to Toledo, Ohio, where I am from. Had an opportunity to be part of one of my oldest buddies and one of my best buddies' weddings. Shout out to Matt and Jess. I love you guys. I've known Matt for 22 years, and he asked me to be his best man when he announced his nuptials back in October of last year, and it was awesome, man. It was great to get home and see family, see friends who I don't get a chance to see that much just living here in Nashville. And I was a little nervous. Your boy was a little nervous, doing the best man duties. It was a Catholic wedding, and I messed up at one point going back to the pews in the right order after they exchanged their vows. I think the holy water that Padre threw on my hands kind of erased my hard drive for a good 10 minutes. But and it was hot. It's hot when you're in a three-piece suit. It gets a little muggy in the Midwest in the middle of the summer, man. It's not as bad as it is down south where I am now, but it was a little hot. But and then I practiced my best man speech. That would be my advice to any of you out there who get asked to be the best man in a friend or a brother's wedding or whoever. Just practice it. I did put some notes on my phone just in case, but I elected to go up there and just do it off the dome, and it went well. So practice does make maybe not perfect, but close to perfect. And I was happy with how it all turned out. Got a few laughs. You throw a few zingers. Don't know if they're going to land, especially in a room full of 300 people, and 90% of them you don't know. But it was a good time, man. All in all, everything went well. It was a lot of fun. And I'm really grateful, man, for the people in my life who I love. And I said that during the speech. It's to be able to count on both my hands, the people that I love who have my back, my ride or dies, I have their backs. And to have friends that I've known, some of them, if not half my life, 2/3 of my life at this point, man, including Matt. So it was an awesome visit, man. It was great to see them, and really, it's just motivating me to stay in that grateful headspace, man. To be able to do this podcast and connect with all of you, and to connect with all the wonderful guests that I have on this show, to see it grow over these last few years incrementally. And see people listening and tuning in to make the friendships and the connections that I've made doing this show. It's just motivating, man. I think all of us can suffer from imposter syndrome at one point or another. Everybody has their good days and their bad days, and I certainly have my ups and downs and struggle with anxiety and confidence and some compulsions and stuff, which I've gotten better at. Shout out to my therapist, John, and my close friends and family. I'm not afraid to talk about that stuff, but it's all part of the journey, man. So it's a long way of me saying I am in good spirits. I'm doing well. I took a couple of weeks off from exercising, so I'm getting ready to get back into that this week. But I think it was good to give my body a break too. My left hammy I tweaked like a year ago, man. That's part of getting older. I don't look 36, and I take pretty good care of myself, but I tweaked my left hammy, and I've never had hamstring issues in my life. And it happened about a year ago. It was like last September, October. I messed it up, and and it's never quite got back to a hundo. And I waited way too long to start icing it and everything, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm doing all right. So I hope that all of you are doing well, man. If there's any goals that you want to achieve, write them down. We've got less than 6 months left in 2024. And again, this is a great time of the year to recharge. A lot of people taking vacations, getting a chance to, maybe go to weddings like just did. And it's a great time of the year to kind of, really focus in on how you want to finish out the rest of the year and what you want to do with yourself, man. So I say face the fears, man. That's what I say. Thankfully, I don't have too many regrets when I look at the last few years, which were the most challenging of my life. And I don't say that as a martyr, they were. But like I said, staying in that space of gratitude and looking at how far you've come versus the things that you still haven't achieved, I think is important. You know, um, Anytime you can look at progress and you can look at the steps that you've made in the right direction, we're always going to be works in progress. None of us are going to be finished to the day we die, man. There's always going to be something new to learn. So give yourself grace, hold yourself accountable. And like I say at the end of every show, keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourselves. And, speaking of connecting with good people out here, man, and good relationships and, people who have come on the pod and shared their stories. And I've gotten a chance to get to know them a little bit over the last few years, doing this more consistently with March 4th. This is a dude that really embodies what this show is all about: perseverance, moving forward, chasing your dreams. He is a repeat guest of the podcast. He is none other than Danny NoNo of Big Eleanor Records. He's a great dude, man. Like I said, this is, I think, his third time on the show. He came on back, gosh, it's probably 2022. I think we got in touch in late 2021 and he was on the show in early 2022, maybe. It's going back a few years now, man. And it's always nice when people start to find you. I've been doing this long enough now that it's cool when people discover you. And he discovered the show, hit me up, and we had a great conversation the first time on about what it was like for him in terms of being a musician himself. He's a great drummer, but then starting his own record label and the meaning behind Big Eleanor Records and the just how much music means to him, how much he loves it, his connection with his family, his mom being an educator, how all that plays a role, the support system that he has, and then we had him on again. I think it was around spring of last year. Had him and Shaw on. Shaw Calhoune, shout out. We talk about him on this podcast. He's a dope rapper who you guys need to pay attention to for sure. And he's part of the Big Eleanor family. And now we get Danny back on again because, like I said, from a distance, we follow each other on Instagram, and I've been keeping up with the moves that Big Eleanor has been making, which which we will talk about. Rather, I had my coffee this morning. Bear with me. Sometimes the words go faster than the brain can get them out after a couple Java, but yeah, there's been a lot of cool moves that Big Eleanor has been making since the last time Danny and I got to catch up, which, like I said, was a little over a year ago. There's been some really cool live shows that they've done, um, collaborations with other people, and new artists on the roster. Shout out to Laddie, Moran, and Adrian Rose, who are now part of the Big Eleanor family. We talk about that. We talk about the new music that Big Eleanor has got in store for the remainder of 2024. And yeah, just what it's been like. They're doing merch, new music, shows. It's been really cool, man. It inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing as an independent creator out here, to watch people like Danny, making things happen with Big Eleanor, man. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Danny NoNo of Big Eleanor Records. Here it is. Well, Danny, thanks again, dude, so much for taking the time to come on the podcast again, man. I was thinking about it while I was getting ready for this today, and I was like, man, I think it's been like 2.5 years since we first linked up. I think you hit me up towards the end of 21 and got you on in like early 22 for a little
Okay.
out, and then Shaw was on, and then had you and Shaw on last year for Fly Langston when that dropped, and I know you and Big L have been busy since, man. So thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing the space and that's crazy that it actually has been that continuous support and effort from both of us. So big ups to you as well for maintaining this long.
Yeah, man, it's fun doing these, man. It's fun connecting with other creative people out here and people who share that love for music, man, especially of different genres. You yourself being a musician in addition to doing Big Eleanor Records, man, it's really cool. But I guess just as a place to start, man, like you guys, I mean, even like I said, since the last time we talked, the things I mentioned, but even you guys were doing shows last year, doing tours. And I know as we're talking right now, this is going to be hitting people's ears. Like midsummer, we're talking early June. You guys just did some shows, what in DC, New Jersey. You were at was it Open Market 24/7 and
Hmm.
Dotto Books? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, yep. And then we came back in Lancaster, PA, so we hit three states last week. The whole team. It was yeah, that was because I mean what I enjoy, I mean you create something and then you bring it to the people. So it was like we got this team together and it was like, all right, let's go out in public and kind of show people what we can do.
Yeah, because was it last year, 2023? Was that the first time you guys had done live gigs with Shaw going around?
Yeah, yeah, yes. So yeah, Shaw was like a lot of just like let's put our head down and create for the first little bit. And then last year was like, all right, like we have to get our live show up. We have to get out and just kind of see if people are really messing with what we're doing. So yeah, me and Shaw put our head down and did a good bit of shows last year. Um, and then just throughout connections and building that stuff, I'm able to kind of assemble some of these quick underground runs like we did last week. Yeah, we all enjoy doing shows. It's kind of like one of the like rewards of it all is like actually like them on stage and me at the merch table, I guess. And it's just like that's like the reward of it all.
Yeah, it's been cool to keep up with it just from a distance from the last time we talked, just seeing the stories that he's posted, the stuff that you've posted on Big L's Instagram. And I think it's really cool because music, it's like obviously it's a true art form, right? But like people like us who really love it and really like breathe it, I think what's really cool is you've melded these worlds together, man. Like again, you for people who don't know, with your background as a drummer, but also with the skate community and like the art community, you guys have had some really cool intimate shows. What has it been like going to some of these venues that you guys have been at, man? Because it looks like a really cool intimate vibe, the gigs that you guys have been playing and bringing the different worlds together.
Yeah, that I mean, it's yes, I agree. I enjoy that. It gives you the chance to just like be face to face and connect with a fan, a fellow artist, the person who owns the place. If you go to some of these bigger places, they have like stages and stuff. Like they deal with a bunch. They have a lot going on, so they don't have the time to actually sit, talk, meet you. Um, so it's just been it's fun sitting down and just being able to connect with people who have the same completely same agenda that we do. And yeah, the intimate, the floor shows. I don't know. That's what it's about. Like the other day when we went to the record store beforehand, they had an original copy of Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream, and I just like got to look at that right before Shaw performed, and I was like, all right, like what? Like this is why I enjoy this type of stuff because you never know what is gonna happen. Sometimes there's negative things. Sometimes you get like the goofy sound equipment or a broken speaker or like limited people or whatever, but you get like those random things like that always happen or like a goofy story of you like smoking out back or like the goofy random stuff that usually doesn't happen as frequently as like when it's those direct straightforward get to the venue, do sound check, do the show and leave type of stuff.
Yeah, for people who are listening who are unaware, like if you've ever seen like the Tiny Desk concerts that get put on, I feel like the intimacy of the gigs that you guys are playing are like that. It's really like everybody's just kind of chilling, listening to the artists. There's been some really cool venues, man, but But yeah, and in addition to that, the Big Eleanor Records family has grown, and that was central to wanting to get you back on here, man.
Yeah. Whoo.
And Laddie Moran, am I saying his last name right?
Yeah, Laddie Moran and Adrian Rose. Shout out to both.
Yeah, so two different vibes, but dudes who are really awesome on the mic, and again, the production of the songs that you sent me and gave me a taste of, man, like it's really dope. Like I've always loved with Shaw's stuff. I've always felt like just as a fan of the early 90s stuff too, that was the stuff that actually brought me back into hip hop. I feel like Shaw is bringing that flavor, like the Fly Langston record in particular, man, just with like the saxophone and stuff. It really
Mhm.
takes you somewhere when you listen to it. And the stuff that you sent me from Adrian Rose and Laddie, man, like both of those guys on the mic, it's just like it's just great storytelling, great flows. Like, how did you link up with these guys, man?
Yeah, so yeah, again, I got double shout out to them because like yeah, they're both crazy artists. Yeah, Laddie is a Lancaster based artist as well. So when I moved to the city years ago, and just started exploring music, local music, and just what was going on, um, he just immediately became my favorite rapper. In the city, he's just been my favorite rapper in Lancaster for years and years before I knew him. Before anything, it's just like, yo, these projects are crazy. Like you, like the song that you mentioned before in my head, I think it's called the one that has all the streams or like the big like. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, dude's fucking going in on that, like crazy. Second verse, he just like I don't know if he takes a breath the whole time, like you know what I mean? I was just like, all right, this is cool. Um, so just being a fan, and I started booking shows, and he was one of the first people that I wanted to reach out to, be a part of these shows. So when I was doing shows in Lancaster with Shaw, I was like, all right, let's shoot my shot with Laddie, see if he's like about it. I know he's got a higher profile, and in the city, he's like that dude. But he kind of saw my vision right away and started doing shows with me. And part of the thing that I wanted to do with doing shows with him was just like, all right, like I have a couple spots open. Do you have anybody you suggest? Because I want to build this with you. I want you to feel a part of these shows. And he was like, yo, my man Adrian, like he's cool. You should reach out to him. And I didn't know. I've never heard of him up to this point, and reached out and was like, yo, Adrian, like, well, do you want to be a part of the show? And then like immediately it wasn't just like about me thinking they're good artists. It was like us hanging out and us joking about the same stuff and laughing at the same stuff and just kind of seeing each other's vision um at the same time. But that was like early last year was when I first booked him for a show. And then things didn't get the relationship didn't get serious until late last year, like when we went to DC together for the first time. Um, and I think they really kind of saw the vision, and they started working with Shaw, and they were just like, okay, I can be in a crew with like him, like sign me the fuck off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, if we join forces with Shaw, like we will be the potentially the, this underground like unit that is, pretty up to a high standard. So last year just came to booking shows. That was a big rant. That was a big rant. I'm just infatuated by the fact that these guys want to work with me. You know what I mean? It's really, really, really cool. It's a very, very high privilege because these guys were established. Very like these guys, they haven't put anything out with me, so all their music been out, fans, everything they've done, like that's them. So to share it with me is, pretty incredible, I think.
Yeah, and linking up with Shaw and doing like a DC shows. I mean, the DMV, that's like his area, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
got kind of like him do his thing in front of like his crowd and his home and everything. What was that like just to be part of that and see it firsthand, man?
Yeah, well, it was that shit's special to me because it's like that's like the intangibles that like being behind the scenes I get to experience those things like the casual person like they go and experience like I get to take in those moments. So bringing Laddie down to DC to like meet some of the people that we know or that Shaw know from friends to already fans or connections, and then Shaw coming up to Lancaster and getting established in here and seeing Laddie perform in front of his hometown, like those guys just stay inspired by each other, honestly.
Yeah, and when you started Big Eleanor Records, man, like what were some of the things that were central to your vision, or who were some of the people that either you looked to for inspiration in terms of starting, like you said, like an underground indie label? Like what were some of the foundational pieces of the vision that you're now seeing come to fruition?
Yeah. So there's a lot of, there's some, it started as like, as you know, with like rock and skateboard, like being in all these different scenes. So there's a lot of like underground labels like Don Giovanni Records and even like up to a higher degree, like Luma Vista Records and like places that have like, different kinds of even like genres up to punk rock to rap and stuff like that. I kind of had to abandon that lately. Not abandon, but I've just been right now. I think I'm just so influenced and wanting to, help and push the culture of hip hop forward. So right now I've been for like I'm pulling back from my inspiration of TDE, or Kendrick, Absol, J Rock, like Schoolboy, all those like so TDE is a good like reference point right now. The way they approach the music industry and the way they approach generating a roster. And then also just the early 80s hardcore scene, the way that scene was built throughout, like physically throughout, from like, bands Minor Threat, Bad Brains, and then you go to the West Coast, and like the way that they built that scene wasn't anything besides putting your head down, making the connections, traveling from city to city, helping out other people, and building a spider web of a network. So the early '80s hardcore scene, a lot of what Minor Threat was doing, and those, and then yeah, Top Dog Entertainment.
Yeah, it's cool to see somebody take the love for music like you have in your background and start a label, man, because I think some people like either they have an idea or they think it's too big and they don't try it, or they try it and they stop, whether it's a podcast or a musician or whatever. And especially nowadays, man, right? People, it's real easy to kind of do that comparison game and look at what other people are doing or measure yourself against people who are like, sometimes I'll look at podcasts. I'm like, dude, Mike, that podcast is at a way different level. You can't,
Yeah.
it's worlds. You just got to focus on doing what you do well and building, like, building a network of not just doing shows, but like, you know, like relationships like this, people that enjoy it enough that you want to come back on and you're not like, oh, hell no, I don't want to talk to Mike in March 4th. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I think that grassroots work ethic is really cool, man. And I know from talking to you before, your mom's a teacher, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So does a lot of that work ethic kind of come from seeing her and how she works with young people and just growing up over the years? Like is
Yeah,
that
I think it's funny because like I appreciate you remembering and referencing that again because, shout out teachers, shout out first grade teachers. But I feel like there's a lot to it because, like, I'm learning, there's a mixture of my father too, who, at a young age went into the military and just having that like mindset of that. So I think like there's a lot of that mixed in with it too, where it's just like, the planning and organizing of like a teacher, like a first grade teacher who can maintain a classroom of 30 students or whatever. But then with that, like, I don't want to use it in a negative way, but like that militant mindset, that militant work ethic, that I can wake up at 5:30 in the morning every single day and do a routine and not waver and show up. And so I think it was a strong mixture of that with the teaching.
so what Danny is like the, especially now bringing Adrian and Laddie into the fold, what is kind of like the day to day or sort of the weekly process for you? Because I know there's music on the horizon, and again, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
like we were talking about, I'm gonna follow your lead because I don't want to unearth
Oh
anything.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but you guys have stuff coming down the pike that I think people who are fans of hip hop are really gonna like. but and some of it you've talked about a little bit on Instagram. You've done some teaser stuff of
Yeah.
what's it like now a few years into this with Big Eleanor Records and the family growing with those guys coming on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, on a literal sense, I talk on the phone so much. Like that's literally like, you know what I mean? Like if I wasn't talking to you right now, I'd probably be talking on the phone to one of them, if not all three of them. Like so literally I'm on the phone, but there's just yeah, it's just kind of hearing what just it's weird to like just say it's just like what is needed, but it's just like kind of hearing and helping everybody prioritize and then just jumping in where I fit. It is very, you know, it is time consuming. There is not like the time off that I could have afforded myself when I was working with just Shaw. Now it's like because you know this is just Danny NoNo. If you're talking to, you know, Dan over here, like, you know, still a full-time job. So there's still that takes up a chunk of my day. Um, but yeah, a lot of talking on the phone, a lot of planning, and just a lot of being out in public now because now it's like the idea of making connections for three people. I mean, you gotta be just everywhere at all times. So, yeah. And then in my off time, I just listen to their unreleased music and it's just like, all right, like I just know what's about to fucking happen. Like, but yeah, lots of talking on the phone and lots of just helping people stay organized.
So are you helping link them up with because like you mentioned, like I know Laddie and Adrian for a few years now have been pumping out music. I think I saw Adrian has stuff going back to like 2020 on
Yeah.
Spotify. Laddie's got stuff I think going back to maybe like 2017. Um, but in terms of now them being part of the Big L family, like are you helping them as far as producers, shows, all of the above, or is it more the organizational kind of like lining up tours and all that stuff and merch?
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of all of the above. My role is to help, you know, help find shows when the time comes, help with promotion. Um, you know, I still have a little bit of a foot in the creative conversations too. So when it comes to just like talking about the album or the artwork and stuff, like I'm still around to talk about that stuff as well. Um, and then a lot of the like behind the scenes, just making sure like the behind the scenes, like logistical stuff stays up to date. Cause now, you know, we got multiple people selling merch, multiple people try like getting reached out from different avenues, making different connections. So if Laddie makes this connection, like that's his, so we're gonna keep it on his list, and then Shaw has his. You know what I mean? So a lot of like behind the scenes logistical stuff as well is my role. Those guys kind of stay in front of their like notepad or like you know in front of the computer producing or whatever, and I stay in front of my laptop basically, just on like spreadsheets and sending emails and stuff.
Shout out Microsoft Excel. That's most of my day job is
Yo,
Microsoft.
for real, like Microsoft Excel, like it's still in like its OG like status. Like they haven't even needed to update it since like the first original release. Like it's that valuable and good of a resource that just like they it's the same template from fucking 20 years ago. And it's just like don't even need to change it.
Hey man, yeah, if you can learn some like simple V lookups and that kind of stuff, you're all good. Get, plug in some formulas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's and I respect the hustle and the grind too, man. Cause yeah, during the day I work in healthcare for a great company. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm doing this. And I always feel like I should be doing more. And I probably should be, but so that's why I've started getting into more of the like the video clips and stuff, just kind of seeing how the space is moving with podcasts and
Yeah.
music, trying to get people's attention, man. Um, but uh, but
Good
music,
luck.
yeah, I know, right? You guys are getting people's attention, man. I mean, and again, it's been cool to see like we talked before the jump. The last time we spoke, it was me, you, and Shaw when Fly
Mhm.
Langston, and then since then he's done four piece and carry out on Shaw, which I thought the rollout for carry out on Shaw was dope too. I
Thank
thought
you.
album art was really cool. The concept of that was really cool. Even like the intro track, like the storyline, like it came out so well, man. I mean, what was it like to just kind of kind of see that process unfold. And especially with, I mean, gosh, he's done, I'm trying to think off the dome, just like the last 2, 3 years that you guys have been in my periphery. I want to say this is at least fourth release from him. I think just his
Yeah.
music. So
Yeah, carry out. Thank you for the kind words and listening and all and supporting. That yeah, carry out was that's special to me and him. I'm just gonna speak for myself. In this process of me and his relationship or our build, that was a very like landmark or special moment. When me and Shaw first had our very first conversation after we were like established that we're going to like work or build together, we started talking creatively, and the first album he said he wanted to do was a full length named Carry Out on Shaw. Like, didn't say anything about any, like, there was none of the other album name, nothing existed, period. That was the very next thing. Like, he did the Rudy tape, we talked, cool. Now I was like, all right, now what do we want to do? What do you got in your mind? Full length named Carry Out on Shaw. Cool, good to know, great. I don't, and then we started talking more about like debut full length albums and just, full lengths and just what a debut full length album from an artist means. And we just both decided to pause. Let's make sure, basically wanted to make sure when we released our full length, there was people waiting for it. We had the fan base. So we didn't want him to just do a full length and it just be like to nobody. So we built the 4 EP thing, which was Mariana, Goat Cheese, My Regards, Fly Langston. Like, we literally had those named the very next conversation. We named those four. We're like, we're gonna do these four. Boom, boom, boom. Did them all, and we were just like, all right, now it's time to do the full length. And he added 4 Ps because he was just like, the full length is so like conceptual. You know, I mean, every song has its idea. It's very specific. It's a very conceptual album. So he likes to just rap. So he was like, give me just like a couple beats so I can just like rap before I go into this big conceptual process. So that's where 4 Ps came from. He just was like, I just want to rap and then I will hit you with all of this deep and whatever shit you want. So that's where 4 Ps came. But we named those where we had those 4 projects. Then we started Carry Out. And so Carry Out has been in the back of our minds since our very first conversation. So the fact that it was complete, it is up to me and his standard. It's not like better, but in my mind, I knew we were going to release something really good because I just knew our capabilities. So for it to happen, 3 years after the very first conversation and it come out, and you see some of the things behind the scenes, like the reviews are very good, like the fans that we have or the friends fucking like it, and like got picked up on that vinyl, that distribution vinyl. So it's a very special moment in our build because it was not just like a random album. This was like years and years in the making. Like, to make those EPs was the process of making Carry Out. Like, when we made all those EPs, that was him honing his craft, me honing my ability to make like song ideas and titles and themes and stuff. We did the shows, made sure he was a good live MC. Like, we made sure we had everything covered, and then we started working on the album. And then he fucking nailed it. Shaw fucking nailed it. Like, I'll talk my shit. Like, I know I nailed my parts, which was like, whatever my contribution was, but like, I watched Shaw just fucking nail every single concept that was thrown his way. He fucking nailed it. Period. End rant again. I know. I just like be ranting sometimes, but
hey,
yeah.
that's what podcasts are for, man. No, appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing the background and kind of the thought process behind that, because like we're talking about, there's so much music out there, and I think that's kind of what's cool about sort of this age that we live in, is that there's so much cool talent, excuse me, but also getting to like the stuff that you like, even with all these algorithms and stuff, you kind of got to go through different music or whatever. And I think that thought process of, hey, let's keep giving people like an appetizer with the EPs, you know what I mean, and let them know what he can do, different vibes, that Fly Langston vibe, you know what I mean, on the last one. Like, I really dug that so much. It's such a great listen. And so I think having that rollout till you get to the full length, like you said, instead of just dropping a full length and go, that rollout is important, and build up to it, like you said, because then you've got a fan base built in already. So I think
Hmm.
that's really sick, man. And I love the sports references from him too. And that leads in kind of the next thing I wanted to talk about was seeing you do merch. Um, as soon as I saw the Shaw Calhoune basketball, I was like, I have to get one. And I remember hitting him up, and I was like, dude, do you still have any of those left? I was like, I need a medium, and thankfully you guys did, man. But thick. I just saw the Instagram. You've got the rose shirt, which is really cool. You're rocking the Big L hat right now. Like, what's it been like to get into that space too? Because I know the visual. I mean, you were just talking about that Smashing Pumpkins record, right? Like, I know you're a music nerd with the artwork
Yeah,
too. I mean, even the records you got behind you right now, right? Like, it's all encompassing, right? It's not just the music, it's the vibe, it's the theme, it's the artwork. What's it been like to get into the merch space, man?
I mean, it's just another layer of the fun, in my opinion. Honestly, with the merch, that's one thing that I allow these guys to kind of dictate, like the direction. I don't wear gray t-shirts, so like I would have put, I mean, I would have made a gray t-shirt, but and I didn't go to basketball camp, so it's like, you know what I mean. So I kind of let these guys, dictate a lot of that. Um, the question I always throw out is just like, do we want the merch to be a part of this album, or do we just want it to be a standalone? Like when we did the Shaw shirts, do we want it to be? They came out right around Fly Langston, so the question I just asked: do you want it to be a random shirt, or do you want it to be a Fly Langston based shirt? And then one after that, it's just I kind of let them dictate how that goes.
And even the rose shirt is cool because like each letter is like different. There's
Hmm.
stuff going on in there. Did Adrian find an artist on his own? Did you help him find an artist for that? Because I think it's cool how you tied his name into the.
So this is where I shout out Adrian being the most underrated human in the world right now. Adrian does like the graphic design for his shit. So he did that. The flyers and shit that we had, like he was the one who did that. And then let's circle back to the songs I sent you. He produced all of them. Like he produced his album. Like he 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 is all around just like every time I talk to him, I find out this little thing more that like he can help out with, or that he like kind of knows. Like he's been helping me a lot with some of that behind the scenes stuff. So that's an Adrian thing. Just shout out him. Like yeah, shout out Adrian.
Well, the songs that you sent me were sick. And again, if
Yo,
you need
nah,
track.
let's get into them because yeah, right now, like I mean, the names, I don't know if the names are the names or not. So like if you say the title of the file, it might not translate in the future, but like we can say like yeah, they were good. Like yeah, the Weatherman song, like dude, are you kidding? That would yeah, I told this story before, but I won't forget when they played that for me the first time, because it was just like what the fuck did I just like hear? Like, dude, as soon as it starts, and that's Adrian, like that's Adrian singing, like Adrian on the hook, like Adrian Laddie, when they make songs together, it's just like it's no fucking joke. And that was the first song they played me, and I think I had him play it like 5 times in a row, and just was like, guys, like this is the best thing that I've heard, like period. Like since because like I think Shaw's album was like done at that point or whatever. So I was like, guys, this is the best thing I've heard since I've heard Shaw's album. Like this is the best shit that is going to be out. Like this right here is the best stuff that is going to be out once it gets released. Period. Like, yo, for real. I they had that shit done like before. Like that wasn't anything to do with me. Like these songs are done. I just got them sent to me, and like every time they would send me a new song, I would just be blown away every time. Just like, guys, like this shit's amazing. Like this shit is really amazing.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing them with me too. Like when we are going back and forth in the DMs, I was like, dude, I promise you I will not. I know it's hard to convey tone in like text messages or whatever, but I just wanted to let you know, like, dude, I promise you I will never scoop anything or
Yo, they're so good. Like and there's more. Like I have more unrelated, but I just sent you like I think 3 of each. And yo, I I don't know. I don't know what else to say besides they're just fucking really good songs, and I just really can't wait for other people to hear them. Like that's it. Like my excitement, like the reason I'm here for the rest of the year, like the thing that is carrying me the rest of this calendar year is just knowing that people will eventually hear these songs. Like that is my purpose this year is just knowing like not even my purpose, but my reason of waking up is just like it's one day closer to the world hearing these songs.
Yeah, that one was sick. The other ones that you sent me, Where We Came From, uh, Give Me That, Lady. I They were all they're all so good. The one that I really loved, if I had to pick a favorite of all of them, and it's hard to because they're all so dope, but I really loved A Lot Going On too. That one's a
Yeah.
that's a real vibe on that one too, man. That one just flows so well. But both of them on Lady too, because when like because I because you get like the little dot dot dots with like the song titles and stuff. So
Yeah.
I was clicking on the details to like make sure I got all the information on all the songs that you sent me. I'm like, oh damn, they're both on this one too, man. That one that's it's sick. So I didn't realize, and that's why I'm glad we're talking because I didn't realize that they knew each other and that they were tight. So it's cool to hear those collabs, man, because they bounce off of each other so well.
Dude, it's crazy. Like yeah. Yeah, just those two, yeah, they worked really well together. Like they were moving again together before me, like just really well. And uh yeah, Laddie over Adrian production with Adrian on the hook is just always going to be one of my favorite songs. Just every single time. And watching them live, like Adrian, I mean, Adrian can actually like sing and shit, and like Laddie can actually like rap and shit. So it's like when they're doing these songs live, it's like there's not like a dip in like it actually is enhanced, like it actually sounds better.
So when you're first meeting with these guys, man, and you're presenting big Eleanor Records to them, and obviously you've had the work that you've been doing with Shaw and what you've been building over the last few years, but what's that like when you meet somebody um and you see that they have that same I won't even say passion, but just same love for music that you do. Like what are the ingredients of like a big L artist and what you saw in these guys that you knew that they were like when you pictured them, and I see you smiling even now as I'm asking the
Yeah,
picture them.
yeah. That's a good question. That's a good question. Um, I mean, there's a lot of you know to not to sound like a robot with it too, but like there's a lot of work ethic. I see these guys working really, really hard. And you can just kind of you can sense when someone's working really hard, and then when they say they're working hard, like you can tell when someone actually is working hard and doesn't say it. And then so I could just tell that these guys were just like unbelievable hard workers. I know that they could match, if not push mine and Shaw's work ethic, which is, pretty high. Um, and I could just I, I don't know. We just talk about music and life shit like it just always was beyond this this idea of making music. It's just like even if we weren't in music, I feel like all of us would just be hanging out. Like if we were in school or class, or if I did some other shit and they saw me in public, like we'd still just all be like chilling or whatever. Um, and then yeah, again, the making of a big L is just like someone who's not afraid to have their creativity pushed. So these guys aren't afraid to have me or Shaw or each other, question what they made. Oh, this is the song you sent me. What about this idea? Do you think you could try this? Like, what about this? Like, they're not afraid to have their creativity pushed, and push it themselves. Uh, so it was just a lot of their creativity, and they're willing to just push their creativity and mixed with their fucking ability to work their asses off and not complain, or they just like me and Shaw are people who work really hard and don't realize that they're working hard. It's just like all of a sudden someone's like, "Damn, you guys were da da da." Oh, I didn't even realize it. We didn't even know. This is just what we're doing.
Have the three of them Or again, what as far as stuff that you can tell me, have you
Yeah.
had in the room and seen them all three in the room together, like going back and forth on ideas, like in terms of production, songs?
Yeah, kinda. We get together virtually, like we have like Zoom meetings or whatever very frequently, and we do a lot of show or have been doing a lot of shows together. So we spend a lot of time talking and stuff. But creatively, there's a lot of everyone has their ideas that they already were working on. When we all came together, so there everyone's still kind of finalizing like Shaw's album. We already had the idea before they, so there's not as much as that, but there are some songs that are starting to be made that have all of them on. So I just got sent a song that Adrian just recorded the verse on, that Laddie already has the verse on, and then we're just Shaw's gonna do a verse or writing the verse right now. So like I have that, and then Shaw's new album has a song that has Laddie on it. So I have like some of these like beginning of ideas, but yeah, it yeah, I've also been in basements or cars where they've been freestyling and stuff like that, and that's I guess that was your original question. I forget. Yeah, yes, I've been in like basements where they've been like freestyling, and it's just been like this is fucking sick. Like I have videos on my phone of it, and I'm just like, these are stashed away for the Netflix documentary series in like 15 years.
That's sick, man. Well, this is awesome, dude. Thank you again so much for giving me your time, especially with the grind too and working and being an hour ahead, man. Well, since you put this on the Instagram, I think that's a good segue. Touching on the releases that are coming up, we're gonna see Adrian, we're gonna see Laddie with the release. We're gonna see another release from Shaw. So, like you
Yeah,
said, the motivation you have this year with everything that's on deck and the shows that you've already had in place. Again, man, just how exciting is it after all these years of grinding and getting to this point to have this roster and it sounds like really good vibes between all three of those guys too, man.
yeah. I feel very like I'm super thankful right now. Because I've been playing like the long term game, so it's not like once I had Shaw, it's not like I want like I haven't been like rushing to find new people. Like, and it's just this happens so organically. So to have what I consider such this diverse, high quality of art in my back pocket, and I don't say that to I feel weird. I don't even, all right. I take back that. To have this quality of art standing next to me, ready to present to the world, is just at any moment in time in the past 3 years, that Danny Nono would be looking at what's happening right now and just being like, good fucking shit. Like, good fucking shit. Like, from the artists that you have, because again, like, knowing that I've just actively been listening to Laddie or been going to shows of his for 5 years now, to now him like, me and him hanging out and going to Waffle House at night and shit like that. That shit's crazy to me. Like, that's fucking awesome. Um, that's special. So to have Shaw equally on board and understanding of all this, and for all these guys to now just be considered my three friends, and them to look at each other and say we're all friends and shit like that, that's special to me. So yeah, the three projects that are coming out this year are fucking so good, and it's just gonna like, you're about to witness some next level, like the next level. Like, what I mean? Like, this year is the beginning of me advancing up, us advancing up to the next level of like whatever that is. Like, I feel like we're reaching kind of a pinnacle of like what we can do in with our resources and lanes and underground. And I feel like we're gonna get bumped up into some other rooms after this year.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, and like you said, the foundation that these guys had, I think, coming into Big L and coming into this family, having that work ethic already, having that talent and that skill set already and that mindset already, it's good vibes all the way around, man. And pivoting back real quick to the merch aspects of things and getting into that. What's that like just trying to figure out like distribution or who to use to make shirts or make hats? Like, What was that process like for you, man? Just trying to figure out like the right avenue to do that. And I know Bandcamp is awesome, right? Because doesn't 100% of it go directly to the artist?
Uh,
Or
yeah, the most out of every site or whatever. Yeah, that's still a growing thing. I still feel like we're kind of like raw or like learning in that aspect. Bandcamp's cool and all. I want to like get more official with like the websites and stuff like that. So that's where my mind's at, is just kind of getting that. And then as far as like sourcing this stuff, we're still learning, still kind of seeing. Yeah, that's kind of two behind the scenes questions. I can't tell you where I get my shit from. I get it from me, buy it from me.
well, I was just curious from the standpoint, like people when people start, clothing brands or they start they start making merch or whatever, like there's all different kind of avenues, right? And then there's these different host sites like Shopify and that
Yeah.
like there's so many like drop shipping's a word that gets thrown around a lot now, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different routes. I was kind of curious of what that's like, just like you said, being this underground label, figuring out those avenues of like, okay, who can we go to get like a really like a good quality t-shirt, but also still, make money on it
Hmm.
and be a good representation of the artist. So
But
um
yeah, luckily everyone around Lancaster, where I live, is like unbelievably helpful. So I've been able to tap into just friends and other people, and they've been, helpful and letting me know other resources and helping us build. So yeah. Look, fortunately enough, people have been very helpful for us, and so we're still figuring out and learning a lot of that behind the scenes stuff. But
Yeah, man. Well, before we wrap it up, thanks again so much for the time, dude. I really appreciate it. It's always fun talking to you. And I just respect the passion and the hustle because I love music too. And seeing guys like you chase down what you love and with this label and the artists that you have in the stable now, man, it's so cool. It inspires me to keep doing my thing and keep chasing dreams. And that's why I have people on the show, man. But with the theme of the show being perseverance and moving forward, there's always peaks and valleys, right? There's roadblocks that you got to go through. Anything that you want to share, Danny, just in terms of maybe maybe a low or how you push through a challenge or challenges along the way, like what's central to you pushing through and continuing this vision, man? Because like we were talking about at the jump, there's people who have ideas that maybe they think are too big or they don't have the confidence to chase them or they feel like a little imposter syndrome, even with artists sometimes, like that confidence of playing for people the first time after maybe they've just been in the studio or making music in the room, right? Like
mhm.
what the things that have been central to you, just continuing to persevere with Big L, man? Like anything that you feel like might benefit somebody out there who is struggling, or maybe they have an idea and they're just trying to push through the fear or the challenges of even getting it going.
Yeah, one thing that kind of helps, or that I kind of try not to forget, is to just, and I know it sounds simple, but never forget the reason why you're doing something. And what I mean by that is, regardless what the outside circumstance being, if you're getting praise, if you have people shitting on you, if you have people trying to stop you, if you have people saying what you're doing is shitty, like, you know what I mean? Regardless of that, if the reason you're doing it is for some out, or none of that should matter. So to me, that kind of helps, with the low points. If you get like that negativity from the outside world, um, you're not doing it for the praise either. So, you know what I mean? You're not doing it for praise. You're not doing it for negativity. You're not doing it for any of outside reasons. It's all internal. So once you find your internal purpose, nothing out external should waver you. If you remember why you're doing it. That was kind of bad way to explain that.
If actually it froze for a second, so
Oh shit.
if you wanted to kind of say phrase it, it's all good. I could edit it because yeah, the internet froze for a second. I was like,
Oh
oh,
shit.
stream of consciousness going. But yeah, if you wanted to like rephrase anything again, it froze up for a second. So the floor is yours again if you wanted to kind of talk about.
Yeah. Let me redo it for like a quick one sentence. Basically, you're not doing anything for any external reason. Once you find your purpose, it is not for external reasons. So if you get any negativity thrown your way, it shouldn't waver you because you're not doing it for any outside source, any outside opinion, any outside perspective. You're doing it all for self-fulfillment and all for yourself. So once you find your purpose and your meaning and your intention, uh, and it does go for praise too, where it's like you can't take, you're not doing it for praise either, but you can't let that negativity affect you because you're not doing it specifically for anyone who could be throwing negativity your way.
Yeah, I think that's important, man. Remembering what your core is, because like you said, there's going to be people who like what you do. There's going to be people who don't like what you do, and you don't want to get too caught up either one of them. You don't want to get too high on your own supply from a praise standpoint, but you also don't want to get down on yourself if people are like, "Oh, that's whack" or "That's whatever,"
Mm-hmm.
And you know, one thing that has stuck with me, um, I had another a rap trio who also are podcasters. Shout out to the Free Boys who have come on my show a few times over the years, friends of the show. Um, and Bricks, I believe it was Bricks, had a line in one of their songs where he's basically like, "I'll never speak on some stuff that I can't do myself." And that always
Mm-hmm.
has stuck with me, kind of in relating it to what you're saying of like, you know what? Yeah, like you can't worry about outside opinions because how many of the people who are criticizing you are even doing it? How many people are running a record label?
Mm-hmm.
How many people are doing merch? How many people are, you know, have a trio of dope artists that they're working with, right? So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt.
And the more that that now to kind of keep playing on that too, because that's a good point. The more that I have been growing, or that there's been more, expansion and stuff, that there is a lot more people who, you know, throw an idea or an opinion your way. It's like, okay, thank you for, letting me know, or being like, oh, you should have did it this way, or you could have did it this way. But you, to get to the point to make that decision, I like had to take 1,000 steps, and you're just like here at this conversation now telling me this, but didn't take the 1,000 steps to get that to that point in the conversation.
So I gotta ask you too, bringing it back to your parents and the stuff you learned from them, like you said, from your mom being a teacher and then kind of the discipline that comes with
Mm-hmm.
military. And that's been one word that's been on my mind a lot because I'm like, I'm creative too, but it's like that's where I feel like I gotta be a little bit more militant myself, is just being more disciplined, whether it's like content creation, sending emails, follow-ups, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it takes me a few days to get back to people, and I'm like, I don't want to have that reputation of the guy takes 5 days to get back to an email, but balancing it with the day job
Mm-hmm.
and everything. But disciplines. So that's kind of been like my motto for myself this year, man. But I guess just bringing it home here and bringing it back to the people who brought you into this world, man. I gotta imagine they're proud to see you doing what you're doing, man, and to see you making these waves in a positive way with the stuff that you love, man. I mean, not that I'm asking you to speak for your parents, but
Yeah, yeah.
having that circle part of this journey too, I'm sure, man. Like I'm sure they're proud of what you're accomplishing and the people you're connecting with through art and music and the things that you've loved your whole life, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously shout out to that support system. Those, they went to my shows when I was young. What I mean? Like my dad was the one who drove us to the show that I ended up getting the nickname Danny NoNo at. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was during the Phillies World Series. So like he sacrificed being in his like comfort spot during the Phillies winning the World Series to take me to, fucking whatever, some bands that you don't really care about. You know what I mean? Like all that. But no, it's they have been very supportive, and they do like they don't fully quote unquote understand some of the things, like, you know what I mean, but they know what it's like to accomplish stuff. So when I approach them and talk to them about certain things, they know these are things that I've been working towards for years and years and years before Big Eleanor and before all this. So yeah, they always go out of their way to just be as supportive as they can be. And that's I'm glad that we took a moment right now to acknowledge that, for
Hell
real.
yeah. 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 And I appreciate you sharing that with me, man, because yeah, we always have those people that through those highs and lows and peaks and valleys that are in our corner, man. And
Yeah.
are those people that are foundational to what we love, man. And I'm grateful for like my parents and my family and my close friends who have encouraged me, even in the years where I wasn't doing this and I kind of put it down. It was always like that. I mean, if there's something you love, it's like an itch you got to scratch.
Hmm.
You can't ignore it. It's just like you have like a need to do it. So yeah, shout out to the Danny NoNo parents and
Yeah, hell yeah. And it's funny, like, and that, like, my mom kind of, not even on purpose, but like, when I'm making these projects and stuff, like, I don't, I obviously I do it for the general public or whatever, but like, I keep a lot of close people in mind when I'm doing it, from like certain friends, or like, so I'm always thinking of like certain ways to like add in things that like my mom would appreciate, or like, so like the Fly Langston project, like, of course I'm just like, yo, this is clearly like the project that I am going to show my mom and be like, yo, like, look what I did. Like, this is clearly like, because obviously we're learning on all of it, but that one's like, I challenge Shaw not to use foul language in some songs and stuff like that. So there's like little things like that that I add in because I want to just like keep my mom as a fan as well.
hell yeah, man. Well, Danny, this has been awesome, dude. I really appreciate you giving me an hour of your time. I know you're a busy guy.
Pop, 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 pop.
There's a lot of stuff coming up, so everybody stay tuned to
Yes.
socials. Again, we've got new releases from everybody in Big L coming up, from Adrian,
Mm-hmm.
Laddie, Moran, Shaw's got more material on the way. But for people who aren't aware, man, I'll put up the links in the podcast description. But let them know where they can find out more, Danny.
Yeah. So Shaw Calhoune, all streaming services, all social medias. Laddie Moran, all streaming services, all social media. Adrian Rose, all streaming services, all social media. Me, find me outside walking and say hello.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, thank you again so much for coming on, man. It's always great to catch up with you. Genuinely, keep doing your thing, man. You're inspiring me to keep doing mine, and you're welcome on the pod anytime, man.
I appreciate you sharing this with me, of course. Always. This is going to keep growing. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're here, like, I'm going to just keep coming back. Like, I'm just here.
All righty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Danny NoNo of Big Eleanor Records. Make sure you go follow these guys on Instagram at Big L Records, and that is spelled Bigel. The links to all of what Big L is doing will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support Big Eleanor Records, man. If you're a fan of hip hop, if you're a fan of independent music, if you're a fan of people chasing their dreams, moving forward, persevering, showing love to the family and the friends who helped get them there, hopefully you really dug that conversation, man, because you need to be part of the Big Eleanor family. Once again, at Big L Records, I want to say directly to Danny, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to come back on the podcast. You're really, truly one of these people out here that I've connected with through March 4th who I'm just so grateful that our paths cross, man. Truly. You, Shaw, I'm hoping to get Laddie and Adrian on the show in the near future as well. And it's just cool to connect with really good, talented, down to earth, hardworking, funny, driven individuals, man. And I consider you one of those people. And again, it motivates me to stay consistent doing March 4th and doing what I'm doing and try to continue to grow it and make it bigger as well. So having like-minded creators like you out here who care about the art, who care about the music, who truly love it, who care about your family and your friends, who care about the roster that you have and that you're building and that's growing, the new music that's coming in 2024. I can't wait for all of it, man. I got a ton of respect for you. So thank you so much, Danny, once again for coming on the podcast. And thank you to all of you again for listening. I know I say it on every show, but I promise y'all it's not empty calories, man. I'm truly grateful to be doing this. This is something that I love to do, that I do outside of my day job, and just being a human being, man. And I edit the shows, I book the guests, I try to do these video clips to engage people and give them little appetizer of the episodes if you want to call it that. And it's work, but it's fun, man. I don't even look at it like work. I love music. I love listening to people's stories. Again, as somebody who struggles with anxiety and kind of like imposter syndrome, and over these last few years, man, just the ups and downs of life. There were some big waves that hit me, man, but I'm still standing. I'm still swimming. And, you ride the waves where they take you. Shout out Eddie Vedder, Pearl Jam, for that awesome lyric. I'll ride the waves where they take me. But yeah, man, it's all part of the journey. It's all part of the process. So, show yourself some grace. And like I said at the jump, we've got less than 6 months left in the year. Try to tune out all the noise, all the negativity. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the world. Educate yourself, but keep your head down. Be kind, work hard, and have fun, and don't take yourself too seriously, man. So once again, I want to say shout out to Danny NoNo at Big L Records on Instagram. Again, scroll down to the bottom of the podcast description. All the links for what they're doing will be there. Stay tuned for new music coming from Shaw Calhoune, from Laddie Moran, from Adrian Rose. Again, hit those links because you'll be able to get the merch that Big L Records is doing. Run up the streams on whatever music service you use, man. A lot of awesome things happening with those dudes. And again, I'm really excited for what's coming in 2024. And once again, if you enjoyed what you heard, please take the time to like and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit me up on Instagram. I will get back to you. Again, I have a day job. I have other things outside of the podcast that I do, but I'm trying to get better about getting back to people faster via email and whatnot. And I anytime, people show love for the show and enjoy what they hear and let me know that and hit me up. It always makes me feel good, man. I don't do this stuff for a pat on the back, but it's nice to know that the ripple effects that I'm making in my little corner of the world, not to belittle myself, but to know that they're making a positive impact. So if you enjoy the show, hit me up. Once again, I'm on Instagram at March 4th Pod. YouTube and TikTok is also March 4th Pod. My link tree is in the podcast description as well. So if you want to learn more about me, if you know somebody who's doing something and you think that it would be cool to get their story on the show, again, hit me up, man. I'm open ears. This show exists to let people know that we all go through struggles, but I believe in the power of the human spirit, y'all. From the people who are in my circle, my close friends, my family, the people who have lifted me up out of the gutter, and just the journey that I'm on in my life, man. And I've got a great life, and I'm super grateful for the people who are in it. But I'm really grateful to be able to do this show because it is a reflection of me. And what I want to leave behind, man, in terms of hopefully conversations that inspire people to overcome, to persevere, to move forward. So face your fears and always be kind, man. So thank you to everybody who's listening. Keep the faith and be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. I am going to share a song from the Big Eleanor Records family. And I was, trying to figure out which one to pick for this one. Danny sent me some stuff that's not out yet, so I wasn't gonna scoop those guys and be disrespectful, and put something out to the world before they're ready to release it. But again, stay tuned because I've got awesome new music. But that being said, with the catalog that they have so far, this is a release that came out back in March. It's a dope release from front to back from Shaw Calhoune, off his debut full-length album, Carry Out on Shaw. This is the song No Voicemail with Shaw Calhoune and DJ Scruff. Peace.
It's them terrible days that seems everlasting, but anybody you find yourself clashing, showing patience in any form of fashion. No happy-go-lucky, you're full of passion. It's below your satisfaction. Do the math, this day deserves subtraction. Just wanna get home and get relaxing. Obey the speed limit, seatbelt is fastened. Eyes peeled, I'm strolling through Aspen. Charlie Patrol stay harassing. Pressing for whereabouts, call a backup so they can take a scout. All this extra shit while I'm in route. No extra trips since I mixed my way in. This third eye gym got me itching for a pen. Shall we begin?
Set up shop, write a verse. My lyrics take care of me, they therapy.
Finally had the long day of fuckery. Your boy twisted up, contemplating on what to eat. Fire stick on deck, YouTube is a must to me. Knucklehead pod, every episode trust a scene. Soon I finish this gas, I gotta stay on task because procrastination imagination stay kicking my ass. Focus superb, phone do not disturb. I'm deeply locked in to keep that shriek with the words. The wrong path with the path to get the jot. Y'all talk about these scheming niggas plotting. Hoes only good for just starting. All these temps keep spoiling and gas rotten. Oh, a sob story about the forgotten. Better yet, I pen my current energy. Me and the pen be sharing natural synergy. Calculated in the paces, very gingerly. Yeah, I never waste ink upon my enemies.
Set up shop. Write a verse. My lyrics take care of me. They therapy.
Of the words I've tried to say.
My lyrics take care of me. They therapy. They therapy.